So hello everyone and welcome. Welcome to my life at Healthy Food Place. So today I want to talk about something that concerns every one of us. It concerns the young people, it concerns the middle-aged, and it also concerns the older adults. And it's about sleeping. So many of us are not enjoying healthy and sweet, refreshing sleep. And I tell you, sleep is medicine. When you talk of healthy foods, remember that you are at Healthy Food Place. When you are talking of healthy food, a good night's sleep is a super healthy food by my own estimation. So I want to talk about some of the things that robs you and I of this healthy food I call sleep. And when we have been robbed of sleep for over a long period of time, that is insomnia. When it has remained uncontrolled, unchecked consistently over a long period of time, we call it insomnia. And most of these problems are things that we can solve. They are caused by ignorance. Yes, ignorance is a big mountain. And that is why you need to join this life. And you also need to share it. Because if you have been going through insomnia, you have been losing your sleep for reasons unknown to you, or maybe you think there are some spiritual forces. Yes, that is the notion of most people, but that is not the truth. The truth is that ignorance is what we need to take out. Ignorance. Because a lot of us do things that rob us of sleep. What are the things that can rob you of sleep? I tell you, nutritionally, if you do not include foods that can help you to sleep, have a good night's sleep, you may not sleep. You may be awake while others are sleeping. And you remember, the sleep has various stages. I have identified personally 3 stages. The first one, the body must have to rest. The second stage, then the final stage is the healing stage. There may be other scientific names or words to define these things, but I have noticed that they run in stages. And that is why if the body is not at a balance, when the body is not at the internal balance is not set, you won't sleep. You may take drugs, medications, over-the-counter medications, but you won't sleep. Or you may even sleep, but you won't be satisfied. You wake up feeling tired, you wake up feeling angry, you wake up even weaker than you went to sleep. And most of these things are caused by our very own selves. Now, if you have been going through this experience, maybe you are a young girl, the reasons why it may happen or occur to a younger person may slightly differ because age has a role to play in all of this. There are some that are caused by drop in menopausal issues, drop in estrogen, premenopause, menopause, postmenopause, and there's some in the young girls, some due to various other. It's a wide subject. I am just praying that we should be able to do much today because it's a very wide and important subject. Now, the young people, the younger adult could experience insomnia. I mean, loss of sleep for various reasons. Maybe stress, but most of them are also linked to poor nutrition. When some nutrients are missing in the diet, some nutrients that help the brain to prepare sleep, you may not be able to sleep. And I will be sharing with us towards the end of this life top foods that you can begin to include in your diet if you have been avoiding too many foods. Maybe dietary restriction has kept you away, and over a long period of time, the brain begins to lack the essential nutrients, the essential fat that is required for you to sleep. And these are the main areas where the older adults need to pay attention. When we place too many restrictions, dietary restrictions on ourselves, maybe due to health problems, over time, we begin to come up, issues like loss of sleep, insufficient sleep, and all of that begin to show up. So if you are an older adult, I'll give slightly a different remedy, things that can work. But for the younger people, I do read of remedies like remedies to help you sleep, like milk and honey. Yes, it works. If you are a younger person, you're late, you're not up to 30 years, or you're about, a teenage girl, maybe during the monthly period, all of that. You can mix all of those things and then to boost your blood and all, and the general this thing, and then you'll be able to sleep. But when you try that same remedy in an older adult, somebody who is over 50, 55, and maybe it's not sleeping, and you mix honey and milk, and say, okay, maybe you read it somewhere on the internet. That's okay, this is what I read, let me give to my mom, or let me give it to my dad. It may raise the blood sugar and even the blood pressure. If it is a case of high blood pressure in your dad or your mom, the milk could also trigger inflammations and other health problems, including the sugar could be high, because you cannot mix two sweet foods together and give to an elderly person and then you expect the person to sleep. So that is why it's important for us to be in lives like this, so that you can be equipped with knowledge. And that is why I'm here. So if you are a younger person and you're experiencing insomnia, it may be due to stress, maybe due to you have eaten too much acidic foods, maybe all these noodles, all these pastas, too many acids in the body could also be the cause of it mostly in the younger adults who are not careful with what they eat. They just, sometimes you see them consuming bread and carbonated drinks together. So when people are not aware of what goes into their body, you just eat whatever you lay your hands, and at times it can rob them of sleep. So this may be slightly different in older adults who may not also even indulge in foods like that. So if you're a younger person and you are going through sleep deprivation or you're experiencing loss of sleep, you need to check the number of acidic foods, especially processed foods, breads, biscuits, cakes, fried foods, and all of that. All such acidic foods, you should beware and reduce the consumption of such foods in your diet. And another thing that can also cause it, loss of sleep, when people consume too much of caffeinated teas, because these teas also sometimes seem to leach calcium out of our body in a way that there are times when I take a lot of tea, maybe I feel I want drink, I drink this, I drink. By the time I take all of that, in the night, sleep becomes difficult. And why I choose to talk about it is that it's something that is even reoccurring, in different ways. But if you know the cause of a disease, the disease is already halfway cured. And that is one of the things I believe in. So when it occurs, in my own case, occasionally, it does occur. I usually know the cause. And if you know the cause, you won't be troubled. You will just relax your mind, and by the next day, you will fix it. Actually, it took me some time to realize that not having a breakfast could affect you in the night. Not having a good breakfast could cause you not to sleep. It took me so many years to come to this realization, but you need to know it, that breakfast is important. When you starve the brain too much, you starve the brain too much in the night, the result will show up. It may not be immediately, but that's not the main subject. But I have to highlight it because it's something that took me long time to come to the terms that your breakfast, the type of breakfast can actually affect how well you will sleep at night. So for the younger adult, too many acids can cause it. Too many caffeinated beverages can cause it. Exercising at the wrong time. And some of these things also applies to older adults, but not in all cases. It applies to both the young and the old as well. When you exercise at the wrong time, like when you after 4:30, you engage in strenuous exercise, you may come up at night. Instead of sleeping, you'll be experiencing something like an adrenal fatigue. The body is in the resting mode, not ready to sleep. It took me also some time to know this. When they say exercising is good for dopamine, for this brain for sleep, for all kinds of activities that helps you to sleep. Beautiful truth. It's a wonderful truth. But the timing of your exercise also plays a role, whether you will sleep well or not. So if the exercise is not in the morning, if the strenuous working or workout exercise is done after 4 p.m., you get another result. The result you get may be different. Then you may begin to wonder, but I was told that exercising helps you to sleep. Yes, you were told, but the timing, mark it out. The timing is very important. So when you want to exercise, do it in the morning or anytime before 4 p.m. If you do it after 4 p.m., you may not have a good night's sleep. You wake up very tired. Another thing is, of course, we know that late food is a major factor. When you consume your food late, it's an old, mentality or old school method for people to be cooking or be pounding at 9 p.m. Now we know that late food can kill people at night, and they will say they were killed by witches and wizards. So when you eat heavy food after 7 p.m., very heavy food, especially for older adults, you may not sleep. I suffered a lot of these things several years, and nobody told us. Nobody told me. You'll be making the same mistake, but knowledge will help to open your eyes. If you eat late at night, don't expect anything. Your sleep will start around 5 a.m. And you know what that means. And that's when people are already awake. And even when your brain, your dopamine, everything is already awake, it's not ready for sleep again. Because the body clock works in a way. There is a time when the brain and every other thing is set for sleep. And that morning time, naturally, everything is awake. There's noise everywhere, even inside of you. So it's important to know or to remind ourselves that late meals, especially heavy meals, I'm not saying that if you are so hungry or on very rare occasions that you cannot break the rule and eat something, because if you go to bed hungry, you won't sleep as well. I've tried it. Not just hungry. I have noticed that it's not just eating anything. You must, if you're an older adult, you must eat something that the body needs to work with. Not just anything. You go to bed hungry, it's even worse. So you should just mark it. Because Mama G is telling you that not eating late at night is bad, we know. But going hungry at night is also very bad too. So moderation is our rule. If you must eat, you eat something very light, avoid fatty food, heavy foods. You take something that your body can work and digest easily before daybreak. So when it's done in the morning, You can now go for that your chicken. You can now go for that your meat. You can now go for all the stuff that you wanted to eat or to have the previous night. So you must take note of this. There are also some, things that affects both the older and the younger people at times that makes people not to fall asleep at night. The kind of food you had. If you eat food that is too spicy. Yes, if you have a grandmom at home or your mom is an elderly person, don't prepare food that is too spicy in the night. She won't be able to sleep. Something that we refer to as stressors. Such foods are stressors. They'll be stressing the organ, the liver, and everywhere. So there will be no balance in the internally for her to sleep or for him to sleep. So that is another thing. And again, the brain requires fat. Yes, the brain requires fat. Healthy fats, I often say, it cannot be overemphasized. Because if there is no fat in the diet, well, the younger people can cope with carbohydrates, glucose, and all of that, and just go to bed. But when you are getting older, we must be more careful. When the brain does not get healthy fats, and I have said, healthy fat is what the brain communicates with. Healthy fats. Coconut oil is one of my top healthy fats. Avocados. These are top brain foods. Walnuts. Yes. Peanut. Yes, but peanut is no longer popular as you get older because it's higher in omega-6 and highly inflammatory. So by the time we are getting very old, our omega-6 level in the body is already saturated. And what do I mean by that? We are short in omega-3 fatty acids. And it is this imbalance in between omega-3 and omega-6 that makes many of us experience high-level inflammations. And you see people of my age, maybe they're just in their 60s, they are full of medications, drugs, inflammations, pains, rheumatism everywhere. And some are still consuming omega-6 rich foods. And most of these omega-6 rich foods are found in vegetable oils, such as we see in the supermarkets. Yes, if you are going through such things like you're not able to sleep, you must reduce omega-6, I mean. You must reduce them. Because these are things you've been consuming over the years, and of course, peanut tastes nice, and so many of us will consume, and I've come to realize that by the time we are getting old, our body is already saturated with omega-6. And so what the body needs is omega-3. And they are not easily found in foods. You can find them in fatty fish, like sardines, like mackerel and tuna, and most of these fish are not common. And as a matter of fact, even the older adults who need these fats are often ill-advised to stay away from fats by the younger people who are in charge of their health. Maybe the person that is in charge of the health maybe a young girl, a young boy, may not understand. Of course, it's up to the level of what he or she knows that he can talk about or, advise. So when you see the older ones, looking, dried, looking stressed, and maybe because of lack of sleep or poor sleep, and of course, it's always a challenge. Maybe the brain is already short of healthy fats, avocados, compressed olive oil. They're all in the group, almond oil or almond. Another thing, but in the older adult, most of the things that actually cause the loss of, insufficient sleep, absence of calcium and magnesium, that is very common. I've come to the older adults now. These are the tips of what causes insomnia and loss of sleep or insufficient sleep, or not even able to fall asleep in the first place, because there are different types of it. Either you are not able to fall asleep, or you slept, you didn't feel satisfied, or you slept and you woke up at a certain time and you cannot continue. These are different aspects of it. I have also experienced all kinds of it, including, chronic insomnia. When it's chronic for days, you don't sleep. The brain becomes hot. And that is when I knew that the brain can actually be very, very hot. May God help us. Very, very hot. And when I actually realized that when you don't sleep, the brain suffers too much. The other parts of the body suffers. But the brain, the heart, these are the two, in my own estimation. There could be other scientific proofs, but from my own experience, the brain, the heart, all other organs suffer lack of sleep, but the brain, the heart, that the worst hit when we don't sleep. And that's why we must pay attention to this aspect. We must share a life like this and then also get help, because it's something some of us have experienced, have gone through, and we want to share some of these experiences so that what we suffered, you won't suffer it. Because if somebody had told us, as I'm telling you, we won't go through some of the stress we went through. Those days, we won't do some of those things. I was busy taking my loving leafy teas and taking all of them repeatedly, even when the sleep was not coming. Some of us who want to lose weight, people like myself, if you have that tendency to be fat, if you are trying to lose weight, you keep trying to take other food to help you lose weight, and you don't have your brain in mind. It could be coping, but after some time, you could rob the brain of fat. Insomnia or lack of sleep will set in. And that's why we must be careful. Those of us who are trying to lose fat, want to be slim, want to look nice, that is good. But you must also have your health. Because if you lose your health, that's a terrible situation. And it begins with loss of sleep. If you ask me, when your body wants to heal, your sleep cycle returns. Until that is done, nothing will be healed, because the healing actually takes place while we are asleep. I think nobody needs to convince us about this. It's a truth. We all know that when we sleep, that's when healing takes place. The real healing takes place. And that's why we must be careful also what we eat in the evening. I'm coming to that, because it is also what we eat in the evening most times that plays a role, just like what we ate in the morning, but what we ate before bedtime, it also plays a role in determining whether we will sleep or not. I know that certain things, nutrient deficiency, when you are deficient in certain nutrient, it affects everyone across the board. But those of young ladies not sleeping due to menstrual cramps, those ones are different. I'm not focusing on that. But the focus I'm having is on the older adults whose health is much at risk because of this particular health challenge. And it's usually more common even amongst them. They don't have issues